highest, especially in the Interstream Masters. He repeated that in Singapore. And in Katowice, he wasn't there, but he claimed third place at Home Story Cup 5, ranking him up to second place here, giving him fantastic seeding. On the other hand, though, Ret didn't play in any of the slots, actually, only getting points from Home Story Cup 5. And here they do meet in the World Championship in Season 7. MC is the world champion, is the current champion. On that trophy that you've seen on the screen, MC has his name.
And that last game, it was definitely not your usual PVZ. We saw MC going for the very quick third, Ret trying to counter this with some Muta play, and then MC going for a big, strong push with 8 gates, plus 2 Stalkers and Blink. And Hearthstone raised a very good point by basically saying that if MC had Mothership Core, he could have just sniped 2 bases, recalled, and be in a good position where he can retake his bases, remake probes, and basically be able to defend and stabilize from there. The way he moved out without a Mothership Core, we saw his Stalkers, he had no choice. He had to go into a base trade. It's never good to go into a base trade against Mutas. You will very rarely win those. And Ret knew that. He was very comfortable with the situation. He handled it very well. In this game, we see MC going for a Forge first. It's pretty much his trademark. We don't see MC going for Nexus first too often, really.
Do you think Ret's going to use Swarm Host in this game or Mutalisk play? Mutalisk, of course, being, I think, stronger for this map. In terms of distance from bases to bases, Swarm Host got to, waddle their way across the map, and if they're caught out of position or if they're even caught outnumbered, then you aren't really escaping against a Protoss army here. So what do you think is the best option really for Ret to approach this game and to look for a 2-0 against MC?
I totally agree with you. Mutalisk can be a better choice, but I feel like Ret, his standard style right now, he's Swarm Host and Hydralisks into Hive Tech, and in the previous game we saw him go for Mutas, but that was just to try to counter the very quick third of MC, and in the end it worked. So it's not impossible that we see Muta, but I feel like Ret's standard strategy is Swarm Host, and this is what we might see here, unless MC again does something that provokes Ret into going into something different.
Well, MC goes ahead and does get confirmation that this third base is down, even though against a player like Ret, you don't really have to be afraid of too many all-ins. The probability is incredibly low that Ret would do something, but MC is going to play by the book, he's going to play standard, will check for that, and behind this is probably starting to build a plan on what he's doing. Of course, he's starting just chrono boosting into the probes at this stage, but as that Cyberdynamics core nears completion, are we going to see +1 come down? Is MC going to use Stargate? Stargate, especially within Wings of Liberty, seems to be his preferred style.
And you know that those Phoenixes have some extra range. I feel going for 4 or 5 Phoenixes into a macro game, a third base, like Yonghua seems to do all the time, is definitely one of the strongest strategies right now in Hollow the Swarm. But a lot of Zergs have been doing really well against that. They figured out that if you make a lot of Phoenix, you can really delay the third base of the Protoss, and you can just defend, you will be ahead economically. So it really depends on what exactly happens, and we do see MC go for the Stargate in this game.
And Ret here has an Overlord very, very close on that Stargate too, just slightly to the right here if he does decide to poke in, which Ret is very much so about poking in. He loves to poke in here and there just to check out what's going on. That sounded a bit wrong, didn't it? Sorry about that.
And 2 more gases being added on here by MC at his expansion. So very similar build to what Yonghua did so far. Goes for the Stargates. He does not make it behind his mineral line. This might be able to... Did he see it? Yeah, he saw the Stargate with his Overlord. So that's pretty big for Ret. He's going to be able to time the spores right when he wants them to finish. And since MC didn't make +1, I assume as well that Ret noticed it. I think he will realize that he does not need to make roaches in this game if he wants to, because you can just hold any kind of aggression without +1 with just a lot of Zerglings. So Ret, I already like his position in this game. I mean, it's still too early to really give an advantage to anybody, and Ret is going to start an Evolution Chamber, which could still mean anything. What do you think we're going to see, Apollo?
I have absolutely no idea from Ret. I mean, he's playing relatively standard for the time being, just focusing on drone production, and also at the back of his mind he has defense, of course, because now he sees these units. He now knows about the Phoenixes being out there, so we should be seeing the Spore Crawlers come down, as you mentioned. We do have double Evolution Chamber coming down. Very interested. I think that depending on how well he defends this, Swarm Host is going to be the option, especially with +1 attack range coming out instead of melee here. So we should be looking towards Swarm Host, but it's all down to this little defense here. He's going to pick off a Zealot and surround it, but Phoenixes are coming in numbers here.
And I like how MC spoiled that he went for Phoenixes very early on to try to supply block Ret. He did not achieve much so far, but I mean, if you wait, you're not going to do as much damage as you used to as a Protoss, just because the Zergs, they know how to adapt against target play now better than ever. And one interesting thing to note about MC is that he lives and practices with the LGIM team.
Yeah.
And so far, they have been extremely impressive. They haven't dropped the series except Yoda, who lost to first, I believe. And it was LGIM versus LGIM. So Yonghua is beating everybody. The other LGIM players are winning all of their games. And
that's true.
MC lives with them. He hasn't had an impressive showing like them so far, but if you look at his build now, I really feel like he's been talking to Yonghua during the break or before playing this match and maybe gotten some advice, because he's going for the exact same build.
And we have Ret, building Hydras, which were spotted. The robotics bait needs to immediately come down here in anticipation for Hydra pushes. And there it does come down. He will go straight over to Colossus. The Phoenixes need to keep their job up. They haven't done the biggest amount of harassment, to be honest. The Queens have been untouched. Ret's defense has been pretty spectacular. 0 drones have been killed. Not that many overlords either. Ret's brought back all his overlords towards the Spore Crows. For the first time, we're actually seeing some damage dealt by these Phoenixes. But we do have the infestation pit on the way. And I'm very interested to see whether that's just for Hive Tech, which I think the approach from Ret is slightly different from just regular Swarm Host play. Whether it's going to be Swarm Host Hydra, whether it's going to be straight up to Hive to get ready for Vipers. But
I think Swarm Host, there is a very good chance. But Ret, he's been droning so well in this game. He's up to 67 drones right now. He's getting 16 more right now.
Yeah, and he's about to saturate that fourth easily.
Yeah, straight to 83 drones against 61 probes of MC. And MC, his third Nexus is about to finish, but he's just going to start saturating it now. He's going to start pumping out Void Rays out of just one target, which, to be honest, is a little bit pathetic at this point in the game, because you're facing Hydralisk already. There's a whole bunch of them. The Void Rays, you should just pump them out one by one. If your opponent is already well saturated on 4 bases, he injects well, he can just overpower you, and I think this is what we might see here out of Ret.
In roughly 2 minutes time, we're going to have 2-2 complete. We have the Swarm Host upgrade coming out as well to increase the duration of the Locust in this game. And the composition that Ret's trying to build, once again, if you haven't played that much Heart of the Swarm, it's all about Swarm Hosts, Hydras, and Overseers. Overseers are going to be killing off the Observers so that the Swarm Hosts are undetected, burrowed underground. And then eventually we can see Corruptors come into play, we can see Vipers come into play. And this is a combination which Ret has had massive success with so far in Heart of the Swarm. And it's now going to come down to, as you mentioned, what practice has MC had? LGIM took the GSTL pre-season Heart of the Swarm very, very seriously, and they won it with ease. And now we're about to see 2 Stargates being added on here. Is this just for increasing Void Ray production?
Yeah, I think so. And we see Ret throwing down a Spire. I'm not sure, but I think he's thinking about making a whole bunch of Corruptors to really help with his army. He knows that the possibility for MC to go for all of those Void Rays is out there, and he's going to want to look to push with all of those Swarm Hosts and have enough anti-air with those Corruptors to deal with any kind of big Void Rays massing or even Phoenixes.
And this is going to come in different levels of difficulty now for MC, beginning at level 1 here with just Swarm Hosts, Hydras, and Overseers. Very shortly, we can now see the next level start to unravel, whether that's going to be Corruptors, whether he's going to throw down the Hive shortly and start to head towards Vipers and Broodlords. It's multiple levels of difficulty that can come out from Ret here, and the second level is going to be Corruptors, so he's moving across the map now. And we're about to see, can MC handle this? He's going to pick off an Overseer, which is going to aid out the spotting, or at least help him indirectly to keep the Observers alive here, as another Overseer is present. Void Rays are being made 3 at a time. Ret doesn't know about it yet.
I think all Ret wants to do right now is be able to set up a contain outside of the third base of MC. Burrow is Swarm Host there. Actually, he's going to do that near the natural and start sending the Locusts in. He's going to have Hydralisk and Corruptors covering all of those Swarm Hosts, and it's going to be so hard for MC to engage here. From there, MC needs to buy himself some time by killing those Locusts, maybe force field 1 or 2 times before those can get in, and then once he's max, he can engage. Actually, MC not even going to force field, he's just going to start fighting, and I think this is a bad choice because he's only fighting against Locusts right now, which are pretty much free. He started losing a whole bunch of units. The Observer is going to be chased and killed.
He gets kicked off there, and there's 15 Swarm Hosts here. That's so many, and with the Corruptors and Hydras behind this, Red's going to burrow pick up and just move all the time. As soon as you launch the Locust here, you can pick up and go to a different location and set up siege, and he's setting up that siege on the third base here. This is going to be very difficult. The Corruptors can come in from the high ground, pick off Overseers, pick off Colossus and the Phoenixes, and including the Void Rays. This is quite a difficult position here. We do have the Hive on its way behind it. Double Cybernetics core coming down to increase the upgrades for air. Can MC hold this position here, Todd?
It's going to be hard, but I think he wants to fight very soon here. Try to get rid of this Hydralisk Corruptor Force to then have Void Race against the Swarm Host. MC is going to engage now. He uses the spell for his Void Race immediately to try to get rid of the units quicker.
There's still no Observer though.
Oh yeah.
There's no Observer. The Swarm Host can do so much here. No, there is an Observer. There is an Observer actually hidden in there as we see the Swarm Host falling down, but how much damage is actually being dealt under these rays of fire from both sides? Swarm Hosts still remain alive, and to be honest, I'm looking closer and there isn't an Observer. It's just splash damage from the Colossus being dealt out underneath.
Yeah, and that was really fortunate. But I feel like Ret, he's done enough damage here to be in a great position in this game. He almost sniped the third Nexus. He might be able to do it with this Locust. In the meantime, MC is trying to get rid of these Corruptors with the remainder of these Phoenixes and these Void Rays, but the Nexus falls.
The Nexus falls, but an Observer comes a little bit too late in this game. Now the Swarm has been targeted down, but the Hydras come in as reinforcement. Ret has 183 supply to MC's 106. Ret is seconds away, minutes away from claiming a 4-0 in Group B. Absolutely guaranteeing his advancement through this group stage. And wow, how strong is Ret performing here today?
Very, very strong. We saw Slivko really struggling to mix his units right, and now Ret is showing us how it's done. He's mixing perfectly, getting about 20 Swarm Hosts, a lot of Hydralisk to cover them, some Corruptors. Ret is going for the final push here. We have a couple Void Rays left, fighting against those Hydralisk. GG is called, and very well played by Ret.
And Ret goes 4-0 here, guys. The defending Intel Extreme Masters champion is now down 1 win to 3 losses. A very difficult position for him to be in, but congratulations goes over to Liquid.Ret. 4-0, a massive feat for him, especially considering, as we mentioned in the last tournament, the Intel Extreme Masters Poland, Katowice, he couldn't quite qualify for the main tournament itself. But here he is, advanced through, definitely here to another day.
Showing Twitter.
That's right, as he makes his way over to the other side of the stage to go shake hands with MC, but a dominating performance by Liquid.Ret. So let's head it over to our analyst desk to break that down.
Well, Ret has done it, ladies and gentlemen. He's managed to take out MC, multiple GSL champion. MC not having the greatest of days here at the Intel Extreme Masters. Ret, on the other hand, going 4-0 in the group. And some more pretty cool Swarm Host usage there, hence the massive smile on Harstem's face. Can't wait to hear what you guys have to say.
I feel like that was the most Heart of the Swarm game we've seen all day, and it was really cool to see.
Yeah. Man, Ret played so well.
That's a good point, yeah.
It's just like, he used all the units the way they should be used, I felt like. The way he used the Swarmos and the Mutas in game 1 even, like just with the base trade, then going into the... Ret just played really solid StarCraft.
Yeah, I felt like Ret has a very solid understanding of the new units, how they work, where they're appropriate, where they're not appropriate, because no unit in StarCraft is useful everywhere.
Yeah.
And understanding that and understanding where exactly you want to use those units is what makes a player look unstoppable, where it seems like they're always making the right decisions, because they are. That's the whole point. They know when to utilize those units, where to use them to get the maximum amount of efficiency, the maximum amount of effectiveness, and that's really what I felt like we saw with Ret. Is even though Heart of the Swarm was so new, his build just looked very refined, very polished, and MC just didn't have a response.
Yeah, no, we're actually going to be going into a moment in the replay after we head to main stage with Rachel to have a quick interview. I do believe she has located Ret.
Yes, I have found him. You almost snuck away, but I did find you. You just took out last year's Intel Extreme Masters champion. So that's got to feel pretty incredible. Apollo was talking during your game. He said you're making some major lifestyle changes. You're approaching this game from every angle. Is that true?
I have tried to fix my lifestyle and eat healthy and practice more consistently, things like that. But I think everyone is doing that, so it's really not that special.
Well, I think it's working out pretty well for you. You've transitioned incredibly. A lot of people are complaining that Zerg is having a really hard time in Heart of the Swarm. What's different for you?
I haven't really played a good Terran yet, I think. Also, I feel like the Protoss players I played, MC and First, they didn't really abuse the fact all the new abilities in Heart of the Swarm for Protoss. They just played a standard macro game, and that made it like a lot easier to play against them.
Well, do you have a favorite new unit for Zerg? And I want to guess first, is it the Swarm Host?
Well, I like the Swarm Host a lot against Protoss, yes. But my favorite unit is probably still the Mutalisk, especially now that it's so fast and it regens so nicely. So.
Excellent. Well, I look forward to your next game against Yoda. We're going to go back to the analysts real quick, and then we'll have that coming up for you.
All right, guys, so we're going to take a quick look at replay here, showing some of Ret's incredible usage of Swarm Host. Like Harston said, using them the way they were meant to be used effectively during the starting phase of that final engagement against MC. So let's jump into the replay, and Harston, why don't you walk us through what's going on here?
Okay, so after Ret sent his initial 2 waves of Locust to the Cybernetics core and actually does manage to take it down.
That upgrade as well.
Yeah, the upgrade as well for the Void Rays. He decides to take the 3rd base under siege. Oh well, the speed isn't quite right. And first wave does kill a few cannons, and this is the hard part for the Protoss player. Like, he still has to move, so he's gonna lose all the cannons before he's even there. Then he's gonna lose the Nexus, or almost lose the Nexus, and he basically has to engage and kill those Locusts, because otherwise they're gonna kill the 3rd, and 2 base against 4 base is not what you want to do. So he activates the Void Ray charge ability.
Yeah, I don't know why though, because nothing he killed there was armored.
Yeah, I think that was the first mistake MC made. Then this was really good. The first, like, he killed quite a few Swarmers with the splash of the Colossi. Then the moment the new Locust popped, he should have moved back and kited them with 4 Colossi.
Or even if he's not really kiting them, he had a lot of sentries. He could have put down a wall of force fields. Locusts do not really get through force fields very well.
And they're going straight for the Colossi as well, Ret knowing exactly what he wants to take out.
This was kind of the moment where I felt like MC just didn't have a solid grasp on how strong those Locusts were compared to Ret. Yeah. He got the Colossus too close, the Locust spawn, and then instead of realizing like Locusts do a ton of damage, he was like, all right, well, I'll just keep killing Hydralisks, and the Locusts were like, all right, well,
I'll just kill you.
Yeah, I'll just kill all your Colossus, and then the game ended.
Yeah, that's basically what happened. Ret played really well once again, just using Swarm Host the way they're meant to be used, killing the 3rd, then forcing an engagement. That's what he did, force the engagement.
Yeah. I'm really excited to see what Ret does against Yoda in this next series, and just in general as we continue through this weekend, or week, I guess it's
week, I guess,
probably Tuesday, right?
Yeah,
I think it's Tuesday.
What day of the week is it again?
All right.
The first day.
No, it's the Colossi unfortunately weren't able to get put to much use there by MC, as we saw. And interestingly, as you touched on, Ret mentioning he just doesn't think he's played like a really good Terran yet, and Yoda is certainly to give him a run for his money in the next game, which will be the next best of 3 up.